Welcome back to the deep dive. Think of this as your personal training session, really focused, especially if you're, currently tackling those big Chartered Insurance Institute exams, the CII ones. You know they're more than just a knowledge test, right? They test your strategy. So our mission today, give you that definitive edge. We've gone deep into this really targeted guide on CII exam techniques. And we're not just listing tips. We're going to unpack how you can actually apply these practical strategies, the kind that can genuinely boost your results. This isn't generic stuff. We're cutting through the noise, getting right to what works for CII success.
Yeah, and what's absolutely vital here, and maybe often missed, is that passing isn't just about cramming facts. Not at all. It's really about mastering the art of the exam itself. So the insights we're sharing, they're critical for anyone in insurance who wants to walk in feeling confident, to perform at their best on test day, turning what you know into actual points.
Okay, let's get into it. We'll start with what we're calling the foundational exam techniques.
These are the non-negotiables, the basics. Sounds simple, but they're often where things go wrong. Surprisingly often.
You're spot on. They seem obvious, but this is where errors creep in. First up, and honestly maybe the most crucial, read the question carefully. Really take your time. Don't rush it. In CII exams especially, the wording is precise. Subtle details, specific policy conditions, a quick scan will miss them, and that leads you down the wrong path. So read it. Then read it again. And actively pick out those keywords. Our guide really stresses highlighting them or maybe just jotting them down so you know exactly what's being asked. Precision matters in insurance, right? It matters just as much here.
That makes total sense. And I can almost hear people thinking, but rereading takes time. But what you're saying is that precision actually saves time, avoids mistakes. And speaking of time, it's not just about finishing the paper, is it? It's about using every minute strategically. The guide really hammers this home. It's not a race. It's about getting the best possible results. So you need to pace yourself, focus on accuracy, thoroughness.
Exactly right. And that strategic thinking about time, it starts even before question one. Here's a really powerful pre-exam strategy our guide suggests. The second you sit down, the second they give you paper, write down key formulas, rules, acronyms, whatever you've memorized. Straight away, just get it out of your head and onto the paper. It kind of offloads your short-term memory, lets your brain focus purely on understanding and answering, without that extra pressure of trying to recall stuff later.
Oh, that's like clearing your mental RAM, as you said. Yep. A small-time investment up front for major clarity later. Okay, so let's shift gears. Let's talk about those multiple-choice questions. They can be tricky, but there's a smart way, a systematic way to approach them. Our guide calls it an effective approach to answer selection. Sounds almost like a battle plan.
It kind of is, yeah. The source lays out this really clear 4-step method. First step, find one option that's obviously wrong. Just get rid of it. Second, use your knowledge, your understanding of the subject to eliminate another option. That usually narrows it down quite a bit. Third, and this one's really key for accuracy, try to answer the question in your own head first, without looking at the remaining options. Then, check if your answer matches one of the choices left. And finally, with maybe just 2 options left, really evaluate them carefully. Compare them. This whole methodical process, it massively boosts your odds compared to just guessing.
Right. Let's make that concrete. Let's use an example. Imagine you get a question like, what are the key elements of the Chartered Insurance Institute's Code of Ethics related to treating people fairly? Really. And the options are, say, A, claim settlements, B, cooling off period, C, discrimination prevention, D, good faith. Okay, expert, how would you apply those 4 steps right here?
Great question. Let's walk through it. Okay, first glance, option B, cooling off period. That feels like an outlier for Code of Ethics. It's more about specific consumer rights, regulations, maybe not a core ethical element per se. So let's discard B. Then, using our ethical knowledge, option A, claim settlements. Well, settling claims fairly is part of ethical practice, sure. But is it a key element of the code itself about treating people fairly in general? Maybe less so than others. It's more an application. So let's tentatively eliminate A. Now, step 3, answer it in my head. Treating people fairly, ethics, integrity, avoiding bias, fairness. Okay? Now look at C, and DC is discrimination prevention. D is good faith. Discrimination prevention ties directly into treating people fairly, very specific. Good faith is important, it's broader, but discrimination prevention feels like a much stronger fit for a key element specifically about fair treatment and an ethical code. So C looks like the best answer here. See how the process guides you away from just plausible answers to the most correct one.
That systematic approach really helps cut through the noise.
And that level of thoroughness, I guess, it goes beyond just the first read of the question, right? It's about digging into how you analyze each question, looking for those hidden clues, specific instructions, especially with the CII style.
Absolutely. You have to realize CII questions are often crafted with very, very specific language. So first, consider all the options given. Don't just jump at the first one that looks okay. And critically read the instructions. If it says select multiple answers, make sure you do. That's a really common mistake. People pick one and move on. Also, actively hunt for those keywords. Words like most likely, or always, or never. They dramatically change what the question is asking. And definitely pay attention to negatives. Questions like what is not, or which of the following is the least likely. They're designed to catch you out. Easy to miss that little word. Oh, and if your exam format allows it, use any highlighting tools. Mark those crucial words.
Can you give us another quick example, maybe showing how a keyword like most likely changes things in a CII context? Sure. Take a question like, if a proposer requests that an excess does not apply to his new insurance policy, the insurance broker should explain the... Now, let's say option B is effect on premium levels. That word not is absolutely vital. It flips the usual scenario. No excess usually means a higher premium. The broker must explain that. Or, for most likely, imagine, what action is an insurance broker most likely to take to generate new business? Maybe option C is investing in marketing. Now, other actions might help networking, referrals, but most likely pushes you towards the primary standard industry strategy, marketing. It's about finding the best, the most probable answer, not just any possible answer.
Okay, so we've got the basics. We're tackling multi-choice methodically. But exams aren't smooth sailing. What happens when you hit a wall, a question that just stumps you? That's where some smart tactics are needed, right?
Definitely. And this is where the utilize flagging technique and continue strategy is invaluable. It's simple but effective. If you're stuck, genuinely stuck, don't sit there burning time and building stress. Mark the question, flag it for later review, and move on. The benefit is huge. First, you keep momentum, banking points on questions you can answer. And second, something amazing often happens. As you answer other questions, sometimes you'll find a hint, a related piece of information, maybe just a different perspective, that clarifies the question you flagged. So when you come back to it later, it suddenly makes more sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Keep moving, keep scoring. Now, this next point you mentioned about answer consistency, this one really jumped out at me because it feels counterintuitive sometimes.
It does, doesn't it? But the data, or at least the strong advice from our source, is compelling. Did you know it suggests a significant reason people fail, maybe even up to 80%, though that sounds high, the point is it's major, is because they didn't maintain answer consistency.
Wow, 80%, that's huge.
Well, let's say a major factor. The guide strongly advises, do not change your answer unless you are absolutely extremely confident your first choice was wrong. And even then, remember, you might still be mistaken, the real danger. People second-guess themselves under pressure. They overthink, and they very often change a correct answer to an incorrect one. So unless you have undeniable proof, a sudden clear realization that your first answer was flawed, trust your initial informed instinct.
That's a powerful warning. It really speaks to the psychology of test taking. Okay, let's tackle another big anxiety point. Those super long, wordy questions, the ones that look like a solid block of text. How do we break those down, make them less intimidating?
Yeah, those can look scary, but there's a clear approach. First step, just stay calm. Don't automatically assume long means difficult. Often it's just more context, more reading. Second, find the actual question. Seriously, it's often tucked away right at the end. Locate it. Maybe jot it down separately so it's crystal clear in your mind what you need to answer. Third, break the rest of it down, all that text before the question. Split it into smaller chunks, 2 or 3 parts. Use the punctuation, commas, full stops, or connecting words as natural breaks. And fourth, treat each chunk like a clue. How does this piece of information help? What facts does it give you? Connect the dots between the scenario parts and the actual question.
Okay, let's try that leave with the example from the guide. Here's the question. An insurance broker's administration manager has discovered that the firm has no complaints handling system in place. What, if anything, is he required to do to comply with the Chartered Insurance Institute's Code of Ethics? Right. Applying your steps. Step 1, stay calm. It's just a scenario. Step 2, find the question. It's right there at the end. What, if anything, is he required to do to comply with the Chartered Insurance Institute's Code of Ethics? Got it. That's the goal. Step 3, break it down. The scenario part is just. An insurance broker's admin manager found no complaint system. Simple enough. Step 4, look for clues. The big clue is comply with the Chartered Insurance Institute's Code of Ethics. That immediately flags we need to think about CII rules, ethics, professionalism, customer treatment, probably specific FCA rules too implicitly. Yeah, that makes it much less daunting. You just pull out the core task.
Exactly. It turns that wall of text into manageable pieces, lets you process it logically.
So we've covered a lot about what to do in the exam room. But success doesn't start when the clock starts ticking, does it? Preparation before you even get there is key. Setting the stage.
Absolutely. What you do before the exam is foundational. We're talking basics, but crucial ones. Sleep. Prioritize getting a proper full night's rest. Your brain needs it for optimal function, for alertness. Can't stress that enough. Hydration. Drink plenty of water. But, and this is specific advice from the guide, steer clear of energy drinks. That artificial buzz. It can actually hurt your concentration, make you jittery. Not what you need. Then maybe 10 minutes before you go in, just do some deep breathing exercises. Simple, but it gets more oxygen to your brain, promotes calmness, clarity. And finally, give yourself a break. Stop revising at least an hour before the exam starts. Minimum. Use that last hour to relax. Go for a short walk, listen to some calming music, read something totally unrelated, let your brain consolidate, don't cram.
That all sounds like vital advice for getting in the right headspace. So let's bring this all together for you, the listener, preparing for your CII exams. We've walked through careful reading, that 4-step plan for multiple choice, smart ways to flag tough questions, the importance of sticking with your answers, and of course, those crucial pre-exam routines. These aren't just random tips. Think of it as a complete toolkit for mastering the exam experience itself.
Yeah, and if you connect the dots, these techniques, they're not just about passing the specific test, they actually train your mind, train you to approach complex information strategically, to break down problems, to manage pressure, and those skills, they're incredibly valuable way beyond the exam hall, especially in the insurance sector, right? Things move fast, details matter. So you're not just learning insurance stuff, you're honing analytical skills, decision-making skills, things that will serve you every single day in your career.
That's a great point. It reframes the whole exam process. And it leaves us with a final thought for you to consider. How might mastering these specific techniques help you not just pass, but actually excel in your professional life? By applying that same methodical, calm, strategic approach to the everyday challenges you face in business. Something to think about. Which one of these techniques are you going to focus on implementing first?